Like, I don't like to make hard rules about intermittent fasting because there's always going to be an opportunity for why you can't follow the rule. So I don't like to make rules that
Right.
I know I'm going to break. For me, sometimes I work till 8 o'clock at night. So to tell myself I can't eat anything after 7 doesn't even make sense because sometimes that's my first opportunity to eat a meal. So if I tell myself I can't, now I'm just hungry and I'm angry. And that doesn't ever work good. That doesn't work out for me. So I don't make any
Yeah.
hard rules that I have to follow because I know that I'm going to need flexibility.
I love that. And I think that's a great way to approach nutrition, because I think a lot of us, when we are looking for the answers of how do I do this, we want to gravitate to those hard and fast rules, because it's like, okay, I can't mess this up because I have a rule. And if I follow this rule, it'll be okay. Except for that's not always possible, like you said.
Right.
And then we shame ourselves into like, I did it again. I failed once again.
Right, because every diet out there teaches you you have to follow the rules, and if you follow the rules, then you'll be successful. But anything less is a failure. We're not perfect. We're gonna screw up. I always tell people the screw up isn't the problem. Let's say you grabbed a cookie. You eating a cookie is not a big deal. You telling yourself, I ate a cookie, I shouldn't have done that, I'm a terrible person, I'm never going to lose weight, I can never be disciplined, this is so terrible, and then proceeding to eat a whole sleeve of cookies. That's the problem, not the one cookie that
Mm.
you consume. And so much of nutrition is changing your mindset. I had a gentleman who was looking to lose weight, and he said to me, well, I always clean my plate because I feel like it's respectful to the person who made the meal. And so I just asked him, like, well, how does that show respect? And he was like, I don't know. I just always thought that. I was like, well, what would it look like to show your self respect in that moment and show the person respect? And all of a sudden he's like, huh, I got to think about that. So much of nutrition for adults, especially, it's unlearning. Like you said, some of your habits and patterns were developed when you were 9 and 10 years old and going on diets. And so you learned something in that moment, you held on to it as if it was truth, and then you've developed a whole set of rules based off of those truths that you came up with as a younger child. So much of adult nutrition education is unlearning those things that we assume to be true and sometimes just need to be challenged. Like, well, how do you want to feel about this? What if we thought about it in a different way? Because our thoughts are what create our feelings create our behaviors, and our behaviors create our outcomes. It all originates with our thoughts. So if you don't like your outcome, then most times, more times than not, it's because you've created a thought that's not helpful or kind or true. And so they need to be challenged so that we can think differently, so we can do differently and have different outcomes. I hope that made sense.
It did make sense. And you touched on so many things. I'm like, I feel like you're in my head again. Because I think for those of us who were chronic dieters, like myself, and I can only speak for me, but I'm going to assume that it's a general thing, food becomes the enemy. It's like, I don't want to eat because I know the path that it's going to take me, and it's always bad. I think being able to shift your mindset around that would be huge.